Talks, and we are very excited today. We have we don't have Scott, who I originally met in Miami recently. Unfortunately, he was busy, but we do have his partner JC here, which I'm very excited to intro in a second. But welcome, Kate. How are you?
I'm great. Excited to be here.
Yes. So JC, I'm going to read his bio, then we'll kick it off. But JC Irurzun is STF Academy's founder. He's a father, husband, entrepreneur, angel investor, author, master trainer, cryptocurrency trading expert, 11 years of proven success in finance and banking industry. After serving as former VP of a business banker, he was able to translate that success into entrepreneurship for the last decade. He's been an early investor in cryptocurrencies, co-founded a private hedge fund, currently serves as a managing partner for a VC firm that most recently completed a multi-million seed round to fund a cryptocurrency digital exchange. He's been featured on Binance, as well as 3 times Binance top 500 trader, 2-time hedge fund co-founder, over 500 million trading volume in 5 years. He even turned $1,000 into six figures in 90 days several times, as well as a Web3 DeFi expert, and many other things. But welcome, JC.
Goodness gracious. Who is
Oh my,
that? What are you guys talking about?
my God,
It
right?
sounds surreal after you hear 10 years worth of things all in one run, one paragraph.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
geez,
absolutely.
I've
Yeah,
been busy.
yeah. My question is, what is it you don't do?
Sleep.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, tell us, how did you get into blockchain?
Well, it's interesting. I was a business banker at Bank of America in 2017. I was had a executive role with them, and my younger brother, who's 7 years younger than me, I'm 35 now. Like at the time, I was 27. He's 21 and he's all chirpy and he's like, "Hey, man, you should check out this Bitcoin thing." And my initial jerk reaction as a banker was always like, "Dude, get away from me. I'm not trying to go to jail." And yeah, so it got me curious because he was mining it. He had been mining it for a couple of months, and he took me to his bedroom at my parents' house, and he's like, "Check this out." And he showed me how he was mining BTC. And back then, it was a little easier. You just need a couple of rigs, and he had it all set up. And he was showing me the little point zero zero BTC coming in. I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty exciting. What is that worth?" And he's like, "Well, it's going for about $400 per token now." And I was like, $400? That's not too shabby. He's like, "Yeah, it was like $100 a couple of years back." So I'm dating myself here. And I said, "Well, this is great. Yeah, let me just pick up a couple of them." So I ended up buying a few of them at like $500. And man, it was a couple of months went by, and by like fall 2017, I logged back in and I saw the return of my investment, and I said, "This is unreal." BTC was at the time was about to break $10,000. I had already 20x my money in less than a year, and I was like, "Okay, I got to pay attention to this." And that was sort of like my entryway into crypto. Like most people, right? Made a lot of money really fast. You got really excited. So
And in 2 years, it took a dive and then do it again.
yeah.
Yeah, for very interesting from a banker to invest in crypto. Now doing all this training about crypto, how do you handle with their emotions? Because that's what most people like. They can't deal with their emotions. Like, oh, they get nervous. Like, should I sell it? Should I buy more? How do you handle that yourself? I'm curious.
That's always we actually teach that in our academy. We have an instructor that's a holistic expert, and he focuses a lot on the mindset behind trading, and it's one of the reasons why our program is so successful. I had to learn the hard way about depression through trading. My One of the biggest loss I ever had was I lost $70,000 in 45 minutes. And then I ended up losing $207,000 in 1 week. And, when you lose these 5 figures and 6-figure amounts in a very short amount of time, you start to reminisce on how long it took you to get there. And you start to think about the time you just lost, and it gets you in this negative spiral, and it's really, really hard for a lot of people to shake it off. And that's where most people sort of quit. So we spent a lot of time teaching folks how to manage greed. Greed is the number one killer of all traders. You make a bunch of money really fast, and then that little inner voice keeps telling you one more, until that one more becomes your last one, right? And so, yeah, that's managing emotions. It's extremely important, and it's really, I mean, think about it. What does a trader do? What do I do all day? I click a green button or a red button. I'm either longing or shorting, right? That's it. There's not a whole lot of effort that goes into it. You don't have to be in shape to be a trader, but up here you have to be perfect, flawless almost all the time, and so it's mostly mental. So yeah, it plays a huge role, and we spend years trying to master and help folks deal with that, with the highs that come with winnings and the lows that come with losing.
Yeah. What are some of the tips that you can give to our audience today? How do you deal with that, especially for someone who's really shaky and panicky at this point?
It helps to have been here before multiple times, to have written this thing up and down multiple times. But if you don't have experience as your partner, right? Because I have experience as my partner because we've done it so many times. But if this is your first time, I always tell our students and our audience is, look, you got to practice asymmetrical trading. And asymmetrical trading is a behavior where if you're panic closing on the way down, then you got to panic close on the way up. Like, you got to do the same behaviors on the way up that you do on the way down. Because if you behave differently on the way up than you do on the way down, which is what 99% of people do, you're going to get wrecked. Because most people take profits too early, but they hold on to losses for too long. And if you're going to survive as a trader, you need to learn how to win quick and lose quick, right? Because it is more about seeing trends, recognizing trends, and taking advantage of trends. And when you make the wrong call, you need to acknowledge quickly that you made the wrong call. Now, there's parameters you can set so you don't panic close every single trade every time it goes 2 points in the opposite direction. You're not panic closing it, but you need to have a point of stoppage. Like, I never lose more than 3.5% in a trade. I just don't. So 3.5% down on a trade, I'm out, because I can make back 3.5% on another trade, but it's really difficult to make back 20% on another trade, right?
It's kind of crazy. This is not far along as far as being an entrepreneur. When you're running a company and you're losing so much, and you're still running the company, even though you're bleeding money, right? And so, JC, what a great advice. And what are some of the site or apps that you would recommend to our audience right now that they can take a look at as far as data, or even your own academy for newbies or medium trader that's willing to get into this world?
Yeah, I mean, look, we live in the internet era, so there's literally a million options to utilize, right? There are like your mainstream options, like the coin market caps of the world, and there's like your like low key backdoor, developer put together options like AGGR.trade, like aggregated.trade, which shows you which trader with an account size of over $50,000 or more is getting liquidated on an exchange. So whenever you're seeing a lot of these notifications that mass whales or traders are getting liquidated, you can immediately go, uh-oh, something's happening. I need to get out because people are getting liquidated left and right. So, I utilize nomics.com quite a bit for my research, NOMICS, nomics.com. They are great at collecting data across crypto, including like these no-name projects. They have everything listed on there, so you can see the state of the space overall. So I use Nomics quite a bit. Crypto Twitter is like my home. I live in crypto Twitter. So, I always recommend folks, like, go on Twitter and start following blockchain companies, and then Twitter will begin to suggest other personalities that you can follow on Twitter. And I get a lot of my insights from Twitter, believe it or not, because I just follow a lot of like philosophical OGs from like 2015 and 14 that have been in the space for so long that, you know, it's sort of like that little community within a community that exists.
Absolutely. Getting all that, hearing from the community. And speaking about OG, you know, Charlie Shrem, is that how you pronounce your last name, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually will be speaking at an event. He was the first 5 people who own crypto in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, so long story there. But JC, tell us about what does that stand, your STF Academy? Is that exactly what I was thinking about, or what it is?
It stands for Start to Finish.
Okay.
And yeah, Start to Finish Academy originally was called Crypto Start to Finish Academy. But then when I went to the bank to open a bank account, they immediately told me, no thanks, see you later. So I had to scrap the crypto name off of the company title right out of the gates. So STF Academy, Start to Finish Academy. And our website is stf.academy, not stfacademy.com. That takes you to a Christian academy, which, by the way, if you need it, go for it. But stf.academy, it's a free community. You join for free. There's about 500-600 members in there now. We're only 19 months old, but our claim to fame is it's our Formula for Success program, which takes somebody who doesn't know anything about crypto and puts them to 30 hours of you and I having a conversation like this. And I'm basically just giving you 10 years worth of financial knowledge and half a decade worth of crypto trading and DeFi experience, you know, the hedge funds that we built with Node-Mats and all the things that we've done. And I just compressed it through the things that you need to know. Like you don't need to know. Like in 2017, I was learning how to code in Linux, because master nodes require you to set up a VPS server and learn Linux commands. Like that stuff is irrelevant now. So, you know, you don't need to learn things that are irrelevant. So I just give you the how-tos. And when you graduate, our very first challenge is to help you turn $1,000 into $10,000, because we want, yeah. So, and we've had some great success with that. We've had people literally make multiple 5 figures in their first 90 days. Because I literally tell them what to do. And I don't give financial advice, but every morning I come in and I'll give a signal for a trade. And I'll say, hey, this is the trade that I'm entering right now. And everybody does it. And it tends to be my winning ratio this month is 95%. So it's almost 9 out of 10 times I'm going to win. And the community loves it. People have great success. So that's sort of been how we've started to gather a lot of momentum. Is just because of all the testimonies that we're creating very, very quickly.
That's awesome. You guys are based in Florida, right? And can you tell us about the Crypto Connect that you guys are planning?
Yeah, I would love to, right? The Crypto Connect Expo, cryptoconnectexpo.com is the website. Scott Roseman is a great guy. He's the founder of he actually started, it's a cool story. He actually started doing this in nightclubs. In a nightclub, he started getting people together in a nightclub called Honey in Delray, Florida, and he quickly outgrew it. And we were like, bro, you have to get this into a more brighter setting. Like we can't do this inside of a nightclub. There's not a lot of walking space in here, because he was getting 200-300 people to show up and learn about crypto. So then he scaled it to the farmers table, and then he scaled it to another venue in North Lake, which was like a comedy club. And more people kept showing up to the point that 400 or 500 people were showing up to these venues. And then he had, the vision to create an event for the people, by the people. And I was like, oh, I'm all for that. And he was like, okay, well, if we get 100,000 square foot space and we get 5,000 people in there, can STF, teach them? And can other people come, other people can come in and teach them about NFTs. So what we wanted to do was something different than like your permissionless events where it's like industry people come in and they just like tell you about their chains and what they're doing. But we wanted to create an event for people that were looking to get into crypto, but were either intimidated, they didn't know anything about it, and they just wanted to come into a space where they felt safe, not immediately overwhelmed with information. But people will come in and just be like, hey guys, this is what an NFT is. This is how you learn how to create your own NFTs. Yeah, here's a bunch of kids who've created NFT projects. Visit their booth. Here's STF Academy. They're going to teach you about DeFi and how DeFi works. They're going to teach you about trading and how trading works. And here's a legal team that's going to show you how you can create trusts and will estates and make sure that your crypto is passed on from generations so you don't just lose it in the wallet. So we wanted to create an event where people can come in and literally just get the spoon-fed version of crypto, where it was easy to digest, people have a great experience, and that's what Scott has done. He's put together an incredible speaking lineup. STF is going to have a big education center at the convention center in West Palm Beach, Florida. We're going to be doing workshops literally the entire weekend. It's a 2-day event. So we're going to be doing workshops the entire weekend, just sitting down with you and just showing you the basics of just crypto and how to get started. And for those who know the basics, trust me, you're going to get some too.
That's awesome. Dan?
Yeah, so I think it's great. We were just at a small meetup yesterday, and it was interesting seeing how half the room already is investing in crypto. The other half the room doesn't understand why anyone invests in crypto. So I know
it's extremes, man.
It was two very extremes, and it was a good, but it was groups of people that were open to hearing the other group. So that's why I enjoyed the conversation with Scott when I was able to meet up with him. And I think it's great what you're doing around educating people that are new with more mass versus already existing industry people. So what has been the pulse of as I think it's coming up, right? When's the event?
The event is August 20th and the 21st. It's a Saturday and Sunday event in West Palm Beach, Florida.
So I'm curious, what's been the pulse of, the people that are going, that are showing up? Like, what are they excited for? What are they talking about?
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a plethora of stuff, right? So we have celebrities coming. There's a concert that's going to take place. So there's a lot of excitement just for the party aspect of it. But the pulse has been, I mean, people really are looking for a place to come learn, and so they're excited. And the fact that we have such a diverse lineup of speakers covering literally every single topic you can think of, from NFTs to perpetual trading contracts, obviously the watered down version of it. I mean, we have, I think last time I spoke with Scott, which is a couple of days ago, I mean, there was almost 1,000 people already that have pre-bought tickets already. And that's not including all this, the promotional stuff we're going to give through our vendors. Because remember, there's 50 plus vendors coming, and each vendor gets tickets for them to invite their communities as well. But we're also going to do Josmar Tejeda, which is one of the co-producers of the event and the CMO of my company. He's actually going to host a 5-day virtual event prior to the convention. So just so people can begin to get a taste of what it's going to be like. Some of the speakers are going to be there to create just more excitement around being there for an entire weekend. But I mean, people are excited. I mean, West Palm Beach is, I mean, it's a small crowd, right? If you've ever been to West Palm, it's a small crowd. So it's exciting to have an event like this. And I think we're gonna have a great turnout. If there's any indication of past events, we're gonna have a great turnout.
That's awesome. And what was the I'm curious, when did you guys started planning this event? And I love how Scott cultivate, and it's such an organic community. So I love that, and I'm sure you guys are gonna be successful. But I'm kind of curious, when did you guys put this out together?
Yeah, so Scott came up with the idea back in April. So about 3 months ago, he came up with the idea of doing an event like this. And it just started, it was like the seed was planted, and then the blueprint started, and getting the convention center, I mean, it's 100,000 square foot building. Getting them to agree and and planning for all the for getting the stage set up and the production and security and all the things. I mean, it's a massive undertaking. So he's been working on this for months, and now we officially send out all the invitation, all the billings, I should say, to all the vendors. All the vendors are starting to line up now. They're paying, committing. So I believe we still are looking for a lead sponsor. So if you want to learn more about that, yeah, please contact us, cryptoconnectexpo.com as well. But definitely reach out to Scott if you guys can provide some way of contacting him, because the lead vendor is going to be featured everywhere. I mean, outside the convention center, they're gonna have the most stage time. They're gonna have the ability to to run ads through the arena and do a whole bunch of things, and it's gonna be. I mean, you're talking 3,000 to 5,000 people that are literally yearning for crypto, that are either looking to network or at least get their foot in the door. So
that's awesome. Dan?
Yeah, I'm curious, what do you think it's really going to take though for like the general population to start seeing this as something? Because I know, like you're saying, it's there's the investing side of it, there's the blockchain technology, which is starting to be used by a lot of different companies and organizations. There's a lot of different pieces and components. That's why I put Web3 here, because I feel like Web3 is like encompassing, right? The future of the internet will encompass all these different things. But what do you think it's going to take for the people that are not in it all the time to really think that this is something that'll be long term?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, right? Because I think we all sort of have our own visualization or how this can play out, right? And some people like to take a regulatory approach more than the original ethos of this libertarian ecosystem where people are in self-governance of their own money. And look, I think it's going to be a combination of both things have to take place, right? Regulations have to get a little bit stricter so people don't get wrecked, and companies aren't allowed to. I mean, guys, you throw 3AC, BlockFi, Celsius, these companies that have billions and billions of dollars under management literally went belly up overnight. We saw Terra, right? Terra collapse in 48 hours. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, this is taking back to like 2014 type of days, right? Where you had a top 10 project fall apart in 48 hours with billions of dollars of liquidity. So if you compare like the stages of adoption for any technology, you look back to the internet, right? The .com boom. We first went through the launch of email services, right? And then came like JavaScript and the ability for people to be, to play games online and stream content. But before that, it was all text. It was all text web, right? It was web text. There was no video, no audio on the internet. The adoption back then was how crypto was from 2014 to 2020, right? And now you're introducing the JavaScript of the world, right? Now people can actually go into the metaverse. People can now interact with on-chain items like NFTs, and now you're starting to see the next version of crypto in comparison to the next version of the internet when YouTube was created, when all these online gaming really was beginning to create. And I think the final version that's going to bring in the masses is going to be the mass adoption of Web3, right? Where now instead of you going into a website and signing up with your email address, you sign up with a wallet, right? You sign up with a wallet that's probably been KYC'd. It already has all your information. And then as a user, you allow the website to take what information they want from you, right? And you can sell them whatever information you want to sell that website. So if that website wants to collect your address, they're going to have to ask for your permission to collect those things, and they're going to have to pay you for it, right? So this incentivization of your individual data, as that scales and becomes the norm, I think you're going to start to see more and more companies tokenize their ecosystems, and you're going to see more companies like Amazon create their own token for their own internal economies. You're going to see companies like Facebook create their own social media tokens for their economies, right? And it's just going to be a mix of regulation has to catch up with this because, regulation moves decades behind what's actually happening in the world. So as regulation catches up with the technology, I think that happy blend is going to allow for mass adoption. I mean, we're so early on. It still baffles me when people ask me, like, am I too late to invest into crypto? And I'm like, is Bitcoin $1 million? No. I'm like, then you're not too late. Like, you're so early in the game. Like, until you can go to a store and check out with crypto, like, or just interact with crypto on a normal basis, not having to use like a crypto.com debit card or things like that. You'll know when crypto is here, and mark my words, when you log into your Wells Fargo account and you log into your Bank of America account and you can deposit Bitcoin into your bank account, that's when you know crypto is here. Because when banks have a vested interest in cryptocurrencies, that's when mass adoption comes. Because the thing that the space lacks the most is trust. And until trust is established, people are always going to be hesitant. And the only reason people still go to banks is because they trust them. That's it. It's trust. Because my bank doesn't give me anything else but trust. I don't get any interest rates on my money. I get, if I go get a mortgage right now, I'm getting 6.5%, 7% on a mortgage. My bank's not doing anything for me. The only thing that it's doing is that I feel secure that my money's in there.
Hey, JC, that's a very good point. Okay, you mentioned trust. That's why people, or older people even, still wanting to do the traditional way. But the whole concept of smart contract, it's a digital handshake, right? So how do you balance that? Like, how do you trust someone just agreeing in a digital handshake?
Well,
mass adoption.
Yeah, and that's where education really has to shine, right? Because understanding the fundamentals of a smart contract, I mean, the masses have no idea what that is, right? And as people begin to understand that this is an unbreachable type of agreement, right? That once it is on chain, it cannot be modified, it cannot be tampered with, right? Without agreement from both parties. As people begin to understand this and they begin to trust it more and more, then you'll begin to see, you just begin to see more adoption of these things. Because, I mean, let's be real, it's nerve-wracking to have 6-7 figures sitting in a DeFi protocol, right? If you don't know like the team behind it, or if it's completely autonomous and decentralized, right? And so if you don't understand how these protocols work on a foundational level, you're always going to be hesitant, because you're going to be like, well, what, they can take my money. I'm like, no, they can't, not without your agreement. So understanding some of these basic foundation of what a smart contract is and how it operates, it's just going to take education. I mean, we're years away. I mean, no matter how we paint it, we're at least 5 to 10 years away from even people really becoming comfortable with what's happening right now.
Dan?
Well, no, that's the interesting one. Is, I know for me, let's say just this year and a half with NFTs and virtual real estate, there are many times where I wanted to purchase something, but the process was so complicated and it actually annoyed me that I just gave up. And I can imagine people that really, really don't know, they're confused. Like you're saying, you do the things you trust, not always because it's the best thing. It's just because you trust it, you're used to it. So it's interesting how you have like teenagers, they're used to crypto and they want to put their money in crypto. But I talk to them and they don't even believe in NFTs. But then you have people like in their 20s, they have a different thought. Then you have people in their 30s and 40s, they have a different thought. It's really interesting how like each generation seems like, or even each decade right now has like a different perspective on like what they like, what they don't like. And I've even found, like NFTs, I almost find like people in their 30s and 40s seem to be like the most excited about it. So it's really, really interesting at how like decade intricacies. And that's what we were at an event yesterday that was for a university for entrepreneurship. And so it was great to speak. They had high schoolers who are being entrepreneurs, but it was all about crypto. Then you had people in there, like graduating from college. Then you had people post. So everyone literally had a different perspective on how they feel about it. And go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Like, again, the mass adoption is going to take some time. It's going to take a while for us to all be in one blender and then shake it and have a good smoothie, right?
Yeah.
This
I
is a
like
good
it. I
analogy.
dig that analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Dan.
Yeah, no, this was great though. I know we're coming to time here. So JC, just let everybody know again, if they want to check out the event and can't wait to go in West Palm Beach, how can they find out more info?
Absolutely. So there's the Instagram page at Crypto Connect Expo, right? So they can go to the Crypto Connect Expo Instagram page. They can also go to cryptoconnectexpo.com and learn more about the speakers there. And I mean, it's really, yeah, those are the main two sources. There are discounted tickets that are available for early birds. So, and if you have a project that you want to bring to the spotlight and you want to, get a booth at our event, by all means, contact us, and get a couple thousand eyes on your project. And maybe that's a way to get kickstarted in this space for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, JC. Thank you, Kate. Great edition of Meta Talkz today, and I can't wait to go to your event in August. And thank you, everybody, for listening. See you next time.